Do you ever feel like production knives that have been designed by a custom knife maker just have that little bit of X factor that in-house designs are lacking? If you can think of one or two, I want you to pop them in the comment section down below, because today we are going to be checking out a new offering from Kansept. That's right, they sent me a new knife that's been designed by a custom knife maker who's making a name for himself very quickly here in the knife community, and today we're going to check it out. Let's talk about the Kansept Osprey. Hey, how's it going, everybody? If you're new here, welcome in. And if you've been here before, high five the like button on the way in. I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny. And today I'm excited because we've got a new release from our friends over at Kansept. And that conversation went a little bit something like this. They said, hey, would you be interested in checking out the new Osprey? Which absolutely, the answer is yes. This is a Jonathan Shaw design, and if you don't know who that is, they also go by Triple Stripe Designs. And Jonathan Shaw is a custom knife maker, and he's a young guy too, which is great to see because it's really nice having younger generations getting into knife making and knife designing. And I have absolutely drooled over Triple Stripe Designs custom knives for the last several years, and now we're finally starting to see some of them make their way into the regular production market. And you probably have seen one of his designs from Kansept called the Link, and the Link is one that I desperately want to check out. And while I don't have that one here on the table today, I've got another good one, and this one recently released by Kansept is called the Osprey. So what is it? What is it made out of? What does it cost? All of these are relevant questions, especially when we're talking about looking at a knife made of S35VN and titanium. Now, something that Kansept has done an absolutely phenomenal job in doing is creating an amazing value. Many people don't understand just how good of a value this is. This is $135, and what does your 135 hard-earned buckaroos get you? Well, the overall length is going to be coming in at about 5.5 inches. Did I read that correctly? I don't know. Let's go ahead and confirm with the old tape measure. Yeah, about 5.6, 5.7 inches, and about 2.3 of that is going to be your blade. So overall, this is not a gigantor knife, and I had to reread and remeasure everything multiple times because while this is by all intents and purposes a small knife, it really doesn't feel like it, and it really doesn't perform like it either. This performs like a knife twice its size. So S35VN on this beautiful hawksbill blade, and it's a flat ground. We have plenty of distance between that plunge grind and the edge termination. So things like creating a smile on the edge termination is not going to be an issue with this knife. The handle scales, as I mentioned, are made of titanium. We've got these beautiful gold, or I guess you could call them brass accents, especially with that blue titanium pivot collar there. The spine of the blade is crowned, and then of course we also get some jimping here for the front flipper. It is a frame lock, and the frame lock is going to be locking up and locking out somewhere around the, I would call that 35%. It's solid, no wiggle or jiggle in sight. Beautiful. The insides of these scales are in fact milled out for some extra weight relief, and on the 3D milled titanium pocket clip, which looks beautiful. Can we take a minute to just appreciate how good looking that pocket clip is? One of the reasons why it's so pleasing is you don't see any screw there. That's right, it's blind screwed in from the inside of those handle scales, so you don't see any hardware there at all. That's nice. You get plenty of headroom between the clip and the scales, so it should have no issue fitting in your pants pocket. We've got a steel lock bar insert, which is going to allow for steel on steel contact, and it's, again, very, very good. It is running on ceramic bearings, and the action is smooth. It's not what I would call a guillotine by any standards, but you know, you tell it to go home and it'll go back to its home, no problem. For deployment options, we've got two, and they're pretty good ones as well. We've got a really nicely sized deployment hole, and then of course also a front flipper, and the front flipper is nice. The D10 is definitely tuned more towards the deployment hole than the front flipper, but you'll have no issues. It's very snappy indeed. Now, I can already tell that some people are going to be heading to the comment section and they're going to be saying one of two things, and this is going to be the negative crowd. They're going to say, I don't like recurve on my blade, and they either don't like that because they don't like the way that it looks, or they just don't like having to sharpen it because you do sharpen recurves a little bit differently. Now, in case you didn't know, you can in fact sharpen this at home. Just take the edge or the corner of your stone by tilting it up on your guided sharpening system, and that will allow you to have enough surface area to get the recurve sharpened. Or you can go ahead and get a cylindrical or a curved stone that is meant for sharpening recurves. Either way, it's not necessarily that big of a deal. A lot of people just don't like sharpening them. And then, of course, the other group of people heading down there is going to say, that's cool, but it's too small. I know that you're going to say that. And I have to admit, I do kind of wish that this was a little bit bigger. How's my grip on it? Well, it's I would call this a 3.5 finger grip. My pinky kind of rests here on the butt of the blade, but because it's nice and snug in there, it actually doesn't feel like my finger is hanging off at all. I get a nice grip on here, lots of retention, no issues at all. Now, the cutting geometry on here gets nice and slicey there behind the edge, and I know you're dying to see me kill some cardboard, so let's go ahead and get a scrap piece of cardboard here. And this was taken off of an Amazon box, and I know that for a lot of people, when it comes to cut test scenarios, they want it to be realistic. Well, what's more realistic than breaking down an Amazon box? I have not cut anything with this yet, so I have no idea how it's going to perform, but what I do know is that recurve style blades are excellent for cutting tasks, especially when you're slicing through materials. So let's go ahead and give it a first pass. All right, so it did all right. That's much better. Okay. Yeah. The first cut was definitely a fluke. This is handling the cardboard easily. You see, what happens is that material is going to get trapped in the recurve of that blade, and it's going to keep it in the slice. So one of the issues that I have with small blades is that typically you run out of blade when you're trying to move through cardboard. But on a recurve style blade, it's going to trap that material in the swell of the blade, and it's going to allow you to stay in the cut even on a smaller blade like this. Essentially, it's a small knife with big knife performance. But there's got to be some things that you don't like about it, Rollshambo. So where are the opportunities for improvement? Well, I've said it a million times. Every single time I review a knife from Kansept, it always comes down to two things. And I'm pretty sure you know what I'm going to say. T6 hardware on the handle scales is not my favorite. It's not a gigantic deal, especially when you're getting titanium and CPM S35V in at $135. But it is one of those things where I do wish that they would update that and just do T8 hardware all the way around. The next thing is going to be the lack of a single-sided captive pivot. As someone who frequently takes their knives apart, it's just easier if you only have to unscrew one side. And I'll throw in a bonus for you on this one. The pocket clip is not reversible. Ultimately, who is this knife for? If you're someone that appreciates small knives with big knife performance and premium materials that make sense at a price tag that's not terribly expensive, I think that this could be an amazing carry for you. I think that it would be a good backup carry for a knife like, for example, the Kansept Tarkin, which was also a new release from a custom knife maker in production form. And if you haven't seen my review on the Tarkin, I don't know what you're doing. I'll link it up in the corner above. Also, I think that this is a good option for people who are limited by their local knife laws and they can't carry a bigger knife because it's not legal to do so. If that's you, this could also be a fantastic option. And if you're someone that actually does care about the cutting performance of their blade, this could also be for you. I think that this is fantastic, and I'm really excited to see more designs from triple stripe knives hit the regular market. You know, we've seen a few, and I can't wait to see more. But now I'm curious to see what your thoughts are. What do you think of the new Kansept Osprey? Is this one that you would buy if it came in a bigger version, or is it going to be perfect as it currently is? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you watched this far and you haven't done so yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We are inching ever towards the 10,000 subscriber mark. And if you want to watch more awesome knife and EDC content, feel free to click on one of the videos that pops up next.